Ni hao, nerds. What's good? How are y'all doing? It is I, His Holiness, Brother Jay, your boy, the Bishop of Bull Moose, the Criterion Choir boy, the Vicar of Vinegar Syndrome, and welcome to the Movie Mess. Thank you for joining me today here for this very special sermon that I have for you. Like most of you, I indulged quite a bit in the Halloween seasonal horror viewing last month. I think I could speak for all of us when I say we watched a shitload of horror films to prepare ourselves for Halloween and to enjoy the spooky season. It was great, in fact. I watched a bunch of great stuff that I love to see at that time of year. A bunch of stuff that's really just very comforting seasonal viewing for me. And I love horror as much as anyone. This is all set up. I love horror as much as anyone, but even a glutton like myself, hold on, let me drink a sip of this beer. Glutton and a drunkard? Or is it all just fall under gluttony? I don't know. I think it all falls under gluttony, right? I'll ask my priest. Anyway, even a glutton like me can recognize that at times we can indeed have too much of a good thing. So in the wake of spooky season and Halloween and all of the viewing that I had done for the past 4 or 5 weeks, I am going to, and I would like to propose that you join me on, if you would like, is to abstain from horror films for the duration of the month of November. I'm a horror nut. A lot of you guys are probably horror nuts as well. So this is going to be a no horror nut November. So it's kind of like a no nut November, but it's a no horror nut November, okay? We can do this. I believe in us. We're strong. We're disciplined. We are the masters of our own domain. This will allow us to, I believe, return to horror for the Christmas season. There's a lot of like Christmas horror, seasonal stuff. We'll be refreshed. We can return to things like Christmas Evil and Silent Night, Deadly Night and stuff like that with some freshness and some enthusiasm for horror as a genre. So that is why I am choosing to abstain and do my no nut November, no horror nut November, excuse me, no horror nut November, because the other kind I do plan on getting. I got a wife, I'm sorry, I got to keep things rolling around the household, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes you got to slang that D. As the man of the house, sometimes you got to slang that D. It may not be a pretty thing to say in this day and age. People don't like hearing it. The man of the house has to slang the D sometimes. Anyway, you know, I think if you want to enjoy watching someone dressed as Santa hitting someone else in the head with an axe, I think it's important for us to take a little time off and to maybe enjoy some other types of films. I'm not saying I'm not going to watch any movies in November. I'm just saying I'm going to pick a different theme. A lot of people like to do what's called Noirvember. You've probably heard of that before. But I think that's mostly because Noirbuary doesn't sound very good at all. Noirbuary. So we can't do a Noir February. So Noirvember, even Noirvember, I think sounds a little forced. If I can be honest, I love noir. I'll come right out and say it. You guys know I love the films of the 30s and 40s. So you know I love noir, The Big Heat, Double Indemnity. Those are a couple that I've watched just this year thanks to Criterion 4Ks. And so I'm not going to hate on anybody deciding to do Noirvember. I love neo-noir, and I think that a noir and a neo-noir, neon noir, would be a fun theme. It would open up a lot of viewing opportunities for November, but I can't bring myself to do it ultimately. I can't bring myself to do Noirvember if for no other reason than it feels a bit predictable. It's like a thing now. It feels kind of basic bitch of me to just like go with the crowd and do a Noirvember, because that's what everyone's been doing in November for the last 17 years. So I feel like, I don't know, it's just not in me. It's just not in me. I don't chase the algorithm. I don't do what everybody else is doing. I ain't never even heard of a hashtag. That's why I got 400 subscribers. I want to encourage you, please, do your Noirvember if it pleases you. And know that you go with the Lord, because I love noir films as well. You have my blessing as Father 4K, you may go with the Lord and do your Noirvember. But if you've got nuts, maybe you had nuts before the operation. Maybe you just have figurative testicles. You can join me in my shit. Okay, I don't actually care about your genitals. You can join me doing my shit. I'm open and accepting of everybody, right? Co-ed, all that. Get your ass in here. I don't care about your nuts or you're not nuts, but if you got the guts or the nuts, the fortitude to join me for my shit in November, you can join me in my shit. Boo! Chopsocky November. We're doing chopsocky shit all month long. We're doing that shit. I gotta try so hard not to hit the camera. I can't swing it. I'm gonna hit that camera. It's Hong Kong Fooey November, bitches. We're gonna watch so much Hong Kong shit, we're gonna be speaking Cantonese by Thanksgiving. This November, our cultural appropriation will know no bounds. Actually, it'll be bound mostly by Chinese culture, because those are the motherfuckers we're gonna be appropriating with my fucking nunchucks, like Bruce Lee and them. What, you didn't think I had a psychedelic kimono in my collection? You was wrong. I got a psychedelic kimono in my collection, and we're gonna be wearing it and watching chopsocky shit all month. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about Bruce Lee set from Criterion. I'm talking about shit like a Jet Li, a whole Jet Li set of 5 movies from Criterion as well. I'm talking about luscious Jackie Chan sets like Dragons Forever or Project A. Look at these luscious 4K box set releases with hard boxes and shit. We're talking about City on Fire on 4K. Forget about it. If you told me even a short year ago that we were gonna live in a world where I would have the motherfucking Tai Chi Master on 4K, I would have hit you right in the head with them nunchucks, because I never would have believed that we were gonna get the Tai Chi Master on luscious 4K in this robust, look at how thick that box set is. You got no idea how pleasing it is to me to wrap my hands around this girthy bitch. Look at that box set. Look at that box set. That Jet Li in them? Look how thick that is. Look at that shit. We got Tai Chi Master in 4K. I never thought I would live in a timeline where we would have Tai Chi Master in 4K. That's ridiculous. I got to get all these movies off my lap now. Whew, I'm just saying, we live in a golden world full of beautiful movies like that. We're going to be watching John Woo, Chow Yun-fat, gangster shit, kung fu shit, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Bruce Lee, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, Ong Bak in them. We're gonna be watching all that shit. Booyakasha. We're gonna be watching all that shit while we eating ramen noodles and dumplings and shit. I'm gonna be eating so many spring rolls this month, I'm gonna turn into a fucking spring roll. We're gonna figure out how to pronounce pho this month. Is it pho? Is it pho? I don't know. It tastes delicious. We're gonna figure out how to pronounce that shit this month. That's how much chopsocky shit we're gonna watch. Now, you might be asking yourself, why Hong Kong shit, you ask? Why Hong Kong shit? Well, for one, I'm buying all of the Hong Kong cinema classics line from Shout, and I wanna write these bitches off on my taxes next year, so there's that. But also, Hong Kong shit is sick as fuck, dog. You never want to drink a beer and watch Jet Li kick somebody upside the head? I mean, it's badass to watch Jackie Chan do all his own stunts, man. When they told me that shit when I was like 14, they said, this motherfucker right here does all his own stunts. I was like, bruh, I couldn't believe the balls on this guy. I love the way Jackie Chan's, all of his fight scenes, all of his choreography is practical, it's grounded, and it perfectly displays his athleticism and his, I mean, frankly, his iron fucking balls. But the guy is able to do so much shit. If you were an athlete of the caliber that Jackie Chan was in the 1980s, you want to show that shit off. You don't want to be strapped into some wire. The fact that he's able to do all of this shit without the assistance of wires and stuntmen and CGI, the shit he accomplishes, how could you not respect the shit out of that? Plus, look at Sammo Hung punching this lady dude right in the fucking balls, man. That shit is bonkers, dude. And who can deny how fucking cool Chow Yun-fat looks in The Killer? He walking in slow motion with them big aviators on, chewing on a toothpick. Not one of us, all put together, would be half as cool as his pinky toenail in that movie, in The Killer, in Hard Boiled, in motherfucking City on Fire. There he is right there, Chow Yun-fat looking cool as shit. You cannot deny how cool he is in those crime films and those gangster films of the 80s of Hong Kong. Forget about it. Nobody is that cool. Miles fucking Davis is not that cool. So look, I believe that I have convinced you that the Hong Kong shit is badass, but also it spans genres, right? I just showed you a bunch of gangster and kung fu shit, but it certainly spans other genres. There's a lot of parody, there's a lot of comedy, there's a lot of stuff that's on offer. Like, we live in a golden age with so much of this stuff being readily available, US domestic. We don't even have to import this shit. We don't even have to get like a region-free Blu-ray player to play half of this shit that's put out by Vinegar Syndrome Archives. The VSA line puts out a ton of good Hong Kong shit. I just feel like with all its history and all that Hong Kong cinema has to offer, the time is right to revisit Hong Kong cinema. Compared to contemporaneous Hollywood films, many of the Hong Kong films that we now regard as classics were made on shoestring budgets. I mean, compared to a Hollywood budget, they were making these things for peanuts. These guys didn't have the resources of like a Hollywood studio, but they leaned into what they did have. They knew kung fu and shit, so why not? The fight choreography of Hong Kong cinema is unparalleled. You already know this. If you've seen a single Jackie Chan movie, you already know this. The martial arts combat of a Hong Kong cinema film is head and shoulders above anything that you're gonna see coming out of a Western film. And there's a reason that huge Western films like The Matrix and Kill Bill imported action choreographers from Hong Kong. There's a reason why they brought those guys in to do the work. Those guys are the best of the best. It's the cream of the crop. You gotta bring those guys in. It's like the only thing we've ever imported from China that's not a janky piece of shit. Then there's the stunts that add to the spectacle. I mean, there's a raw kind of cinema verite aspect to some of these Hong Kong cinema films that comes from like real dudes doing like real crazy shit for real, like jumping out of windows on like a third story and like falling out of buildings and hanging from the side of something and getting run over and laying flat and getting pulled by a speedboat. Like, just the shit that they do, there's no artifice, there's no fake plastic thing, spurts fake red blood or whatever. It's all just like some real crazy ass Chinese dude thinking, my family doesn't eat this week if I don't let Jackie Chan pull me by that speedboat at 80 miles an hour, and I'm just gonna have to do it. And if I break my skull open, hell, at least my kids got to eat this week. I'm gonna look like the monkey in Temple of Doom with my fucking brains hanging out or whatever, but my kids got to eat this week. I'm just saying, these guys were crazy. They were balls out. And that's the type of vibe that I wanna embody. That's the type of vibe that I wanna feel flow through me when I'm wearing my psychedelic Technicolor kimono top. And I'm swinging my nunchucks around, hitting myself in the backside of the head. I wanna feel that enthusiasm and that vibe and that just balls to the wall fury. That's why we're going Chop November. And look, you guys might already know this about me if you watched some of my previous videos, but I watched a ton of Hong Kong cinema stuff in the 90s. Basically, whatever was available on VHS back then, whatever I could get my hands on, I was watching. I was watching this shit every weekend, for sure. It was in my rotation, along with other stuff. Sure, I spent plenty of time in the late 80s and early 90s watching the Nightmare on Elm Streets and Friday the 13th and stuff like that, but this is definitely another cornerstone of my upbringing when it comes to the type of film that I was very much into as an adolescent and as a teenager, like all through my teenage years. I was really getting into Chinese martial arts at the time. Circa like 95, 96, I was really getting into Chinese martial arts at the time. And so finding these Hong Kong films was really very formative for my cinema sensibilities. This is the reason why I like shit kind of crazy, kind of Wild West and over the top. It's because that's the coda that these people live by. So I must admit that over the years, probably the decades of the 21st century, the last, 20 years or so, I have watched less and less Hong Kong cinema. It was stuff that I just watched so much as a teenager in the 90s, late 90s, that for whatever reason, and part of this may be that we didn't have really great, beautiful 4K copies of these movies at our disposal, but I haven't been watching a lot of the Hong Kong cinema. So for me, November is not just about watching something that's very different than what I was watching in October and maybe doing a 180-degree turn on that, but it's also about my nostalgia for these films, as well as, you know, hopefully discovering some new ones along the way. I like to do a monthly video about the movies that are in my unwatched pile, some of which are blind buys. And I've got plenty of Hong Kong cinema blind buys from Vinegar Syndrome, a couple from Arrow, and I'm gonna make recommendations too of like some of my favorite shit. Even some of the stuff that I've seen recently, I'll make a recommendation video as well. So I think there's tons to talk about when it comes to Hong Kong cinema. There's tons to talk about with regard to how Hong Kong cinema has influenced the West and how Hong Kong cinema was influenced by the West at various times in its history. Because there's plenty of times that Hong Kong imported things that we were doing over here, not the least of which in more recent decades has been our use of CGI, because they're using CGI nowadays too. So the idea that the Hong Kong cinema is completely and totally an island unto itself, I think is also wrong. And I'd like to explore the idea of the dialogue, the intertextuality between films of the West and films of Hong Kong, keeping in mind that for the majority of these films, Hong Kong was a province or a territory of Great Britain at the time that most of these films were made. So there is still Western sensibility that comes from essentially being a British colony all the way through the late 90s. And so I think we'll see that in some of these films. I think we will see homage to Western films, and that's something I want to explore. I think it'll be a lot of fun to do videos on. It's gonna give me an opportunity to wear my sexy ass kimono. My wife ain't gonna be able to keep her hands off me. I start swinging these nunchucks around wearing this kimono. You see that shit? That's a yin-yang with fucking wolves. That's a yin-yang made out of wolves. I got two wolves inside of me. Both of them are retarded, but both of them love Hong Kong cinema and drinking beers while watching Hong Kong cinema. If you don't like drinking beer and watching somebody get kicked in the head repeatedly, I don't know what's wrong with you. What do you want out of life, right? Maybe you're too fancy for Hong Kong cinema. That's fine. Do your Noirvember and go with the Lord. I love you nonetheless. But around here, in these parts, Team Almy, we doing Chopsaki November, bitch. I'll see you guys in a couple of days. These Chopsaki mofos right here, they're in the Wu-Tang Clan with me. They get to join the 36th chamber with your boy. In the meantime, I'm gonna drink this for them, and I'll catch you guys on the flippy dippy. I'm gonna have to learn how to say that in Chinese. Xi xi ni, motherfuckers. Peace. Ni hao. That's all I know. I'm out.